How do some entrepreneurs finally break through the chaos and hit $100,000 days on Facebook ads without relying on another ad agency that overpromises and underdelivers? I've worked with over 300 brands and marketers worldwide, including some of the fastest growing D2C businesses, directors at ad agencies, and CMOs at some of the biggest household brand names. One shapewear brand I worked with famously went from $50,000 a month to over $1 million a week in less than a year and a half. Not because they found a secret media buyer, but because they built the skills themselves using a system that works. In this video, I'm going to show you a proven framework, running ads the way that Facebook wants you to. And by the end, you're finally going to understand the machine that you've been feeding money into for years. And once you get that, it's easy, it's repeatable, it's scalable, and it works for everyone. Whether you're e-commerce or lead gen, SaaS companies and service providers, they are all seeing success, and you can too. All of these brands and marketers have one thing in common: focusing on results, not vanity, driving growth with consistency. And the best thing, they do it by making things simple.
It's by far the most simplest process. I'm literally teaching my son this right now. And I was like, this really is that simple. Like, it really is. But when you started talking about how you were looking at Facebook as a partner and not an enemy, which in my line of work, we've always looked at Facebook as an enemy. But the truth of the matter is, if you do look at them as a partner and you give them what they want and you play in their sandbox, they will give you better results.
There's a lot of integrity in Charlie's approach in terms of not just the tactics and the low-level tactics, but the really high-level bird's-eye view.
It's been about 3 months now, and I can confidently say that it is literally 10x my business.
I went from having an agency do this for me, and we were kind of in a sales cycle where pretty much what we were spending is what we were gaining, to now being in a profitability and steadily kind of increasing. It's definitely a big change.
Love that your way is totally different, and the results show. They're actually predictable and profitable and sustainable. This is like the most consistent my ads have ever been. And I've also made the most sales in my business.
But these results are not from quick win hacks. Having helped hundreds of ad accounts go from hundreds a day in spend to thousands a day at a profit, we've identified 3 systemic transformations that need to occur in the way you are trying to grow your business in order to see the success that you deserve. Each of these transformations are interlinked and dependent on the previous step. So let's break them down, starting with step number 1. And by the way, this training is for brands and marketers focused on sustainable growth of profit volume. If your goal is to get rich quick or build reports that ultimately look really good while not helping the business, this training is not for you. The first one is profitable scaling margin. And it goes like this. You focus on ROAS and MER. You chase profit margin by product. And you live in the daily results. You focus on reacting to change and avoid building cash flow. The problem is, this approach focuses on the marketer ego, centering around vanity metrics that don't actually help grow the bank account. Doing more work instead of more valuable work. The problem is, optimizing for the funnel is only 50% of the game. The other 50% is optimizing for the customer journey, focusing on profit volume, and growing the business. That's why you make the big bucks, or you will one day very soon. That's why you write the checks instead of working for somebody else, where the harder you work, the better their life gets. Advertisers who focus on sustainable growth and profit volume swim circles around those who focus on profit margin at any cost. So that's the first transformation, going from performance marketer to growth marketer, prioritizing the value of your work instead of the volume of it. The next problem is a lack of a customer acquisition flywheel. And this stems from the first one. Advertisers look in the mirror and convince themselves, I need to be first order profitable. They somehow adopt this mentality that in order to build a wildly successful business, every single penny spent must be profitable right away. Cheyenne founded his business in his early 20s. His experience shaped his beliefs. He worked with big agencies who all made big promises and only delivered bigger disappointments. Then he started working with me. Now he's planning an exit of his business instead of closing the doors. How did this happen? How could this founder do more for himself than any high-profile agency? Well, here's the answer. A good agency may be able to optimize what you have to pay for their fee, giving you a better ROAS on your $1,000 a day Facebook ad account, but they can't go beyond their scope, and their business model is to not get fired. Their success is not dependent on your success, and they will not be able to take you to where you want to go, because there are many skills needed to successfully travel the road to a successful business. Product and offer, web design, customer service, sales and marketing, analytics and tech, human resources. The people who work in an agency don't understand all of these skills. If they did, they wouldn't be working at a job to get paid $5,000 or $6,000 a month to manage 6 or 8 clients that each pay the agency $8,000 to $10,000 a month or more. They wouldn't be working a 24/7, 365 service industry job, getting paid a fraction of what they were worth if they did. An ad agency is a bank operated by salespeople who underpay and overwork young advertisers looking to learn how to master one of these skills. So how should we be thinking about this? What do you need to know? What separates those who work really, really hard to just tread water from those who are scaling 200, 400, 500% a year? Well, there are some fundamental truths that'll set you free that the performance marketers ignore and the growth marketers know in their heart. First, making a sale at a profit is not the same as having a scalable business. Second, a good business is what scales ads. Regardless of what you've been told by salespeople for years, it's not the other way around. And third, not all customers are created equal. People behave differently. The reasons they buy are different. Their value to your business is different. And it's not just how much it cost you to make the sale. And it's not just what your average order value was. It's not about ROAS. It's not about MER. People behave differently. They buy for different reasons. And what they do after that sale is fundamentally different based on a lot of different things. Which brings us to the biggest unlock. Your first sale is the least profitable. The end of your marketing funnel is the first sale. And this is where the customer journey begins. So if you're ready to transform yourself from being focused on the marketer ego to scaling the bank account in a geometric fashion, these are the things that you need to understand. And when you get them down, when you have the confidence to bend the market to your will and can truly develop a flywheel of compounding growth that not only saves you time every day, but makes you more and more money and provides you more and more success on less and less work, well, it kind of feels like this.
Go to the ends. We could go band for band. Fuck that, we can go M for M. Quarter mil for the Maybach truck. Double R with the factory rims. I got the 90, the years, the version, the bribes, I'm really the threat. It's got to the point that I don't even care. I got jewels in the safe that I don't even wear.
You become dangerously independent, self-reliant, and you gain control over your destiny. And that's why they call it the game. Because when you get this right, it becomes really, really fun. So this brings us to the second transformation. The shift from thinking of yourself as somebody who succeeds because you're a good salesperson to focusing on growth by buying the right customer. And the third transformation is simple systems, big results. You don't know what works, and you've been lied to over and over. You see out of context screenshots and binge podcasts for hours on end and dive down dozens of YouTube rabbit holes. So you try to test everything, chasing promises of profit margin. Even when something works, you lose, and you have millions of unfinished projects. I often call this playing the lottery. The result is you move 1 inch forward in every direction. Your enthusiasm wanes, the defeat and attack on your confidence becomes overwhelming. And the honest truth is nobody wants that. So how do we find direction? How do we go from stress to success? The first step is to stop chasing 1,000 short wins. Scalable growth doesn't come from assembling a dozen small victories. Instead, we need to solve the most important problem in the simplest way possible, which brings us to a fundamental truth. Simple scales and complex fails every single time. Every great growth marketer knows this. They've experienced the pain of losing 1,000 times just to end up right where you started. And they obsess over the process of making something as simple as possible that can grow with the least amount of work. Installing these simple systems that scale are what help us avoid the distractions and, more importantly, what allows us to keep our emotions out of the game. If you change direction constantly, if you try to get lucky in a million different places, if you don't lean on your strengths, you can't predict outcomes with confidence. So this means you can never scale your business. So that brings us to transformation number 3, the shift from chasing wins to compounding them. These 3 transformations, the path from where you are today to where you know you deserve to be, renting expertise from people who don't care about you, playing a game built where you're the main character that everyone can take advantage of. That is very different than realizing all of the actors at play and taking control of your future. Can you see how these all connect? When you have one of these issues, you almost always have all 3. But hear me when I say this. You are worth so much more. You can take control. You can do this. You are important, and what you're doing matters. But if you want to change everything, you have to start with yourself. If you don't want to be an actor in somebody else's play, you have to commit to start writing your own script. You have to commit to start taking control. Otherwise, having your own personal clone of Alex Hormozy and Gary Vaynerchuk and Taylor Swift in your back pocket won't be enough to help you achieve your dreams. Sure, at any time, you'll know what to do, but you won't know how to do it. Ideas are worthless. Execution is everything. So if you're somebody truly ready for something bigger, something better, I can show you the way to make that change. I can show you the exact step-by-step process that hundreds of people just like you have followed to get to thousands a day in profitable ad spend. Let's follow in the footsteps of the most successful business people. One of my favorite examples of this is Shark Tank. They find brands that do one thing well. With a scalable operation, they focus on what works. And as brands grow, their investment multiplies. They focus on cash flow and exits. The secret to their success is simple. They leverage opportunity. They build systems to compound it. They stabilize, simplify, and scale. To start, we have to establish the rules of the game. How do we make money? Let's take an e-commerce direct-to-consumer example of Facebook ROAS, which is just simply revenue divided by ad spend. However, that revenue number isn't accurate because it doesn't account for all the money the business makes. And the ad spend isn't the reason all of that revenue happened. If you stopped spending money today, your business would still make money tomorrow. And the money you made today is often from ad spend from yesterday and last week and from things that cost no money at all. So ROAS doesn't work. Another popular example is Alex Hormozi's LTV to CAC. The problem here is that products cost money to make, and every sale costs money. So an LTV to CAC, or lifetime value, divided by customer acquisition cost, we have to remember that that customer acquisition cost isn't real. This works in a gym, but it doesn't work for e-commerce. So LTV to CAC doesn't work either. So instead of looking at assumed data and information that isn't accurate, built for business models that don't match what we're trying to do, there are 3 metrics we really need to look at. So let's start by defining the 3 metrics of the profitable scaling margin. Now, before we go any further, I want to define profitable scaling margin for you. This is the math that makes money. Profitable scaling margin is LTV divided by CPA and frequency. LTV is lifetime value. How much money does the customer give us over the course of their entire customer journey? So now let's define CPA. This is cost per transaction. And this is not based on attribution. This is total amount of money spent and total volume of transactions. We don't care if the sale is attributed to a Facebook ad or to email or to Google. And why this really matters is because none of that information is actually important. So let's give a quick example here. Your Facebook dashboard might say that according to attribution, it should take credit for 10 sales. You might also have your Google dashboard saying, according to attribution, they should take credit for 10 sales. Your email team might say, according to their attribution, they should take credit for 10 sales. But when you look at your actual store, you only sold 18 things, not 30. So what matters is how much money did you spend to get those 18 sales. That's your cost per transaction. And the last number here is frequency. This is the average number of purchases somebody buys in this customer journey. So let's break down the math using some real-world examples, going back to our analogy of the hunter versus the farmer. In the hunter's way, our product might have a $30 CPA with an $18 cost of goods, with a $60 AOV and a $130 LTV, and that customer might buy 2.5 times. Now, according to ROAS, the hunter has doubled their money, right? We have a $60 AOV and a $30 CPA. But when we look at profitable scaling margin, we realize the hunter only makes an 8% profit. Now, if we look at the farmer's way of doing this, we get a $22 CPA, again with those $18 COGS, with a 20 AOV and 150 LTV because we're getting 3 purchases. Now, the ROAS on this is only a 0.9. You could say the farmer loses $2 for every single sale they make. But according to PSM, they're actually making a 25% profit on this customer journey. So let's get into the math. The marketer ego versus the bank account. Starting with the hunter's way, aka the marketer ego. We really only make 8 cents for every dollar that we spend on the ads. However, the farmer's way, aka the bank account, we actually make 25 cents for every dollar we spend. What you need to know here is that ROAS is built on how much profit or credit for each sale we give the marketer or the channel. PSM is how much more money can we spend to acquire any transaction in the customer journey. The farmer can afford to spend 17% more to acquire each transaction and still make the same volume of profit profit. Now, if we were to spend 17% more, even with no added attributed sales, they would still get more emails, more searches, more visitors, and more revenue. So now that we understand that, let's go back to answering the most important question here. How do we make more money? We invest a portion of our profits. This is a hero offer table. And I encourage you to pause this and take a screenshot, and you can fill this out later. But let me walk you through each thing that you need to know. First, for this hero offer example, let's break down the 3 metrics of PSM. We have a $100 LTV, a $30 blended CPA, and a purchase frequency of 2.5. That gives us a PSM of 1.33, which means we make a 33% profit on every dollar that we spend. Now, it's also important to know that we have a second purchase rate of 30%, meaning 30% of people who buy once buy a second time. Also, our average order value is around 40, and our cash flow cadence is 25 days, meaning that on average, it takes 25 days for somebody who bought once to become a repeat buyer. Now, if we start this off with a $1,000 budget, that means that we're going to come in around 33 sales a day, right? $1,000 budget, blended CPA of 30. On day one, with a $40 AOV and 33 sales, we can expect to make $1,320 daily revenue. Now, 25 days later, we know that 30% of those people are likely to buy again. So on day 26, we're going to see 30% of those 33 sales come back and buy a second time, which is 10 more sales. This means that an AOV of 40, we're actually going to make $1,720 daily revenue. Now that we have people coming back to buy again, if we spent the rest of the year investing 10% of that profitable scaling margin, that would be 3.3% added 48 more times. Because remember, our profitable scaling margin is 33%, and it took roughly 4 weeks to get somebody to buy twice. So that's 48 more weeks later. Our budget would be $4,751. And at a $40 AOV and 158 sales, our daily revenue would be $6,320. And what's really exciting is that's only on the second purchase. We're not even counting that extra 0.5 in the purchase frequency. That is unaccounted for profit in this model. Are you beginning to feel the excitement here? This is what it feels like to wake up every day and know exactly what you need to do in the business. You understand your money and how the customer works, and now your entire job is to just make sure this doesn't break while you add more. This is a superpower. Now you know what to do, and you go out there and you fucking win. You crush, you scale with confidence. Every day, fear and curiosity and doubt will be distractions to set you off of this simple plan. You will no longer fall victim to shiny object syndrome. Your social media feed filled with chatbots and out-of-context screenshots, affiliate deals that seem too good to be true, and marketing hacks that if you act now could 10x your bottom line. You won't have to worry about those things anymore because you already solved the puzzle. Every single one of those distractions is like an agent in the Matrix. And now you'll be able to block every single punch and avoid every single one of their tricks. You are no longer their prey. So fill out your hero offer and set your projections. And while you're at it, download the PDF of The Math That Makes Money, which I've also included as a resource beneath the video. Print it out, pass it around, duct tape it to the wall so that you never forget. Look at it every day. Let every decision you make go through the matrix of, does it help me to achieve progress in one of these 3 metrics? Don't let anyone ever distract you from the success that you deserve ever again. So now you have a framework, you have clearly defined goals, and most importantly, you've got momentum. So now it's time to break down the simple question of, how do we turn up the volume? The simple answer is, we have to build a flywheel. We need to get more attention. This can happen with Facebook and Instagram ads. You can go to TikTok and YouTube, influencers, affiliates, emails, television, radio, billboards, direct mail, etc. But what matters most is the ability to leverage a tool that will do the work for us and deliver us a consistently improving quality and quantity of similar people so that we have stability with our hero offer. This leads us to Facebook and Instagram ads. The Meta machine learning algorithm and AI has trillions of data points on billions of people going back over a decade. They know who you talk to. They know what you're buying. They know why you're buying. They know how to make you feel happy. They know how to make you feel sad. They know what you're looking for. They know your desires, your secrets, and most importantly, they are better than anyone else at conditioning human behavior. And it reaches more people in the world than everything except the sun. And we can use that simple machine to scale our business with confidence and stability. So let's break down how a business works. First, of course, we need the attention, and then we monetize it. The problem is that's not how a business works. That's how being a salesperson works. And a salesperson is not a business. So what's the difference? Well, a business works by getting attention and monetizing it, but most importantly, turning that monetization into future cash flow. And then we can invest a portion of that future cash flow and profits into buying more attention. What we need is a continuous system that produces and amplifies cash flow and profit volume, which brings us to the important question: how do we make more money? There are 3 simple rules that we mentioned earlier, but I want to touch base on again. The first sale is the least profitable. Every sale is a chance to improve AOV. And CPA is all transactions, not just meta attribution. So again, the way a business works is getting attention and monetizing it, and then turning that into future cash flow that we can invest in buying more attention. So let's break down each one of these steps even deeper so that we can truly understand their value and how to maximize it. Let's start with focusing on attention. Not all attention is the same. Different ads attract different people. Different offers attract different people, and different people behave differently. If you have a second purchase rate of 30%, that means that some people only buy once and other people buy 4 or 5 times. What kind of ads attract people who only ever buy once? And what kind of ads attract the people that come back and buy over and over again? This is incredibly important, and we need to focus on buying the right type of attention that has the most value to our business. Getting back to how business works, we need to focus on buying the attention that is of most value to our business. And most importantly, we need that to be consistent. If you have a store and every single day the same kind of person comes in and you know exactly how to maximize their value, the path to your success is to get 10,000 more exactly like them. What really matters here is if you want to be a successful business, you want 2 or 3 different types of people coming into your store and you know exactly how to behave. And to grow your business, you want to go from getting 50 of them to 10,000. That is extremely doable. However, if you get 10,000 different kinds of people that are all motivated by different things, that are all looking for different solutions to different problems, and the way they behave and the offers they want are all completely unique, the ability for you to be able to predict how they're going to behave in the future and optimize for frequency and LTV is almost impossible. So what matters here when we look at how a business works, of buying attention, monetizing it, and turning it into future cash flow that we can reinvest, when it comes to attention, stability is key. Now, let's focus on monetization. I am sure that you have been told that what matters most is the profitability of the first order. This is a trap. A sale is a lead. E-commerce is lead gen. The sales funnel ends in a sale. That sale begins the greater value customer journey. Let me break this down for you one more time with another real-world example. If your CPA is 50 and your AOV is 50, that means your profit is $0. If our SPR is 20%, and remember, SPR is second purchase rate, or the percentage of people who buy more than once. If that's 20% and our cash flow cadence is 45 days, that means on day 46, we make $10 profit per sale. Now we have cash flow. Now we can invest our profits. We can, quote unquote, lose money on the first sale. Now we can build the business. Now we can grow geometrically. When it comes to how business works and that first step of attention, stability is key because the monetization of that attention is a lead to accessing future cash flow. This is a business. Now we can reinvest a portion of that cash flow into acquiring more attention in a way that is a compounding flywheel. This is exciting. This is what it's all about. This is the secret to success. Let's fucking go. Now you have a framework for success and you have clearly defined goals. You have momentum and you can scale. Which brings us to the third part. Simple systems and big results. Everything we've broken down so far is based around the hero offer. This is a cash flow device. And remember, the key to success with our hero offer is stability. Going back to our previous example, if we have a CPA of 50 and an AOV of 50, we have a profit of 0. But if we have an SPR of 20% and our cash flow cadence is 45 days, on day 46, we make $10 profit per sale. What if our budget was $500? How fast can this double? If our budget was $500 and our profit is $10 per sale, can we add 5% more budget today? Or 50 cents per sale? Sure. And I hear you, Charlie, but that's not a lot of money. 500 plus 5% is only $525. That's not a lot more. Let me ask you, what is the most powerful force in the whole universe? You're the astronaut, that's the universe. What's the most powerful force? It's compounding interest. What if we added 5% 3 times a week? Here's what the math equation looks like. And I hear you. What the fuck does that mean? Well, let me do the math for you. If we added 5% 3 times a week, it would take 14.2 instances, or 4.73 weeks, or 33 days to go from 500 to 1,000. What if we did this for a year? That's 52 weeks times 3 times a week. That's 156 times that we would add 5%. 500 becomes $133,932.90. So why are we doing anything else? We've solved the puzzle. We're having fun. We have a revolving door of customers who come in. They buy more than once. We take a portion of their profit margin and reinvest it into finding more people who look and behave and are motivated by the same thing. And we are scaling to the moon. But obviously, this isn't sustainable to infinity because as we scale, CPA will rise. So let's get to part 2. In our simple systems, big results, we've focused on the hero offer, which is our cash flow device. Now we're going to look at catalog ads. Catalog ads allow us to show people what they want to buy based on what they're interested in. Whether they've been to our store or not, we can sell them every product in the store. For prospecting, we use DABA, which is dynamic ads for broad audiences. We can also retarget our 10K audience. And our 10K audience here, by the way, if you go into your events manager, you will see how many times every event has occurred. You'll also be able to play with the time length up to 28 days. Begin to look at your view content and your add to cart. How low in the funnel of your customer journey can you go? And how short of a period of time can you make it so that you have that event occur 10,000 times? That is your ideal retargeting audience to start with. If it works, you can scale it. If it doesn't work, you can get more focused. Now, what I love about catalog ads is these ads never fatigue. This gives our business the ability to directly control volume of sales. So as our hero campaign scales up and our CPA gets worse, we can use this to suppress blended CPA and customer acquisition cost, which means we can scale up more. Our hero offers a cash flow device. Our catalog is a volume device. Now we have cash flow and volume of transactions, which keeps CPA down. But wait, There's more. In our simple system for big results, we have one other piece, which is called a rebuttal, also known as a rebuttal upsell. What we're looking to do here is overcome objections of value. Instead of marking down our products to buy a wider variety of more and more dissimilar, lower quality customers, we can instead focus on providing solutions instead of selling products. And where this really works is if the AOV is greater than the LTV of our average customer. We can buy better customers. Something to keep in mind too. Price-conscious buyers are the least brand loyal. To start this off, we can leverage our 10K audience, and we will never have to run a discount ever again. One of the most famous examples of the rebuttal upsell is the Ginsu knife. You may or may not want this $20 knife that does amazing things, but if I give you 2 of them, plus something that can cut a fish and a block that it comes in, and then a gift pack, and I'll double it so that you can give one to your friend, and it's 3 easy payments at $39.99. Now, instead of thinking about a $20 offer, you're running to throw your credit card at the screen. We see this a lot in e-commerce as buy more, save more, subscribe and save, and bundle offers, where we can put the entire average customer journey into a single offer. This is how we provide solutions instead of selling products. One of the best examples in my history of doing this was with the company called 310 Nutrition. Instead of just offering a $9 trial for a 3-day sample pack, what if you had already tried meal replacement shakes? What if somebody was already in market? What if somebody's primary objection was price? We offered them buy 2, get 1 free. That business went from 15 million to 98 million in 20 months because we installed simple systems for big results. We had our hero offer, we installed catalog ads, and we had a rebuttal upsell which solves the business problem of day 1 profits. This is our profit device. Now, every campaign has a unique business objective, and investment can shift based on our needs. If we need more new customers because they're cheap right now and we know a hard time is coming up, let's buy more on the cash flow device. If our CPA is going up just too high, let's lean more into the catalog to bring it down. If we're doing everything right, but we need more cash flow right now, we are low on profits today, let's push the rebuttal. This is how it all works. This is the recipe of how I've been able to take, personally, 6 brands to an 8-figure exit or 9-figure runway in the last 5 years. Now, I hope this training is living up to the promise that I made at the beginning, to offer big value and respect your time. I really hope you've learned a lot. Remember, you can double your ad spend at a profit by just adding 5% 3 times a week, which is pretty straightforward and simple to do if your product is good and your customers come back to buy from you more than once. But keep in mind, without a proven plan, you're planning to fail. You have to stop taking small steps in a million different directions and make a commitment to what works. You have to clearly define your goals so that you know how to play the game, and identify the devices to achieve those goals so that you can see the success that you deserve. That's how the top 1% scale over and over. That's how brands are seeing 2, 3, 500% growth year over year, and why everybody else in the performance market or mindset is working harder and harder and harder just to keep the margins that they've seen, while everything gets more and more difficult and they waste more and more time. Now, if you're not happy with your current state, you have 2 choices. You take the blue pill and you watch this video over and over again, taking furious notes, screenshotting every single page. You dive into thousands more blog pages. You listen to hundreds more podcasts. You dive into tons and tons of more YouTube videos and sign up for newsletters that you won't read. You spend the next day, week, month, or year of your life or more just trying to figure out how it all pieces together. This is expensive because time is your most precious resource. It's also very slow and painful. Or you take the red pill, and I guide you through step by step on how to install each one of these transformations into your business. It's much easier, significantly cheaper. It's proven, and most importantly, you get the success you deserve faster. and I show you just how far this rabbit hole really goes. Now, how do we do that? With the Meta MBA program. The Meta MBA program is a high-touch accelerator, immersive learning experience to help brands and marketers see more success with less stress. With a focus on machine learning and cash flow and proven systems and processes to go from hundreds of dollars a day to thousands of dollars a day in profitable ad spend. It is by application only, not everyone can join, and this is how it works. I work with you to help you force multiply your results around the pillars of your business. I help you understand and track your real results at a glance with ease. I help you scale your best hero offer with stability and confidence. I help you harness the machine instead of fighting it to grow exponentially. I help you see more success with less stress with a clear plan of action. Now, this isn't one of those scammy online courses with a few videos recorded by somebody who has a decent social media following with a script written by somebody who may or may not have known what they were doing 10 years ago, and they say, "Thank you for buying, best of luck." I will upload over 10,000 hours of real-world success from our own brands and the hundreds of others that we've helped get to where you want to go. I will work with you to make it simple, make it work, and make a lot more money. And if you're a solopreneur, you can 100% do this on your own. Or if you have a team, you can bring them in and you will own this knowledge. And if you want to know more about joining, you just need to book a free discovery call with me and my team by clicking the link below the video. On that call, we're going to do 3 things. We will analyze your opportunity, we will audit your potential, and we'll create a plan for success. And this call will give you the freedom so you can go back to moving mountains instead of worrying about the pebbles. You can work on your business instead of in your business. You can finally go back to doing what matters. And if you're a good fit for how we do things, we'll discuss on how we can make this work for you. And if you're not a good fit, at absolute worst, you'll come away with a plan to get to where you want to go with someone who has done it over and over again. So if you want to book a call, there are 3 things that you need to be aware of. First, you must be a brand or a marketer. If you cannot apply this information right away, then you are not ready for the hands-on, immersive, accelerate approach we take to scaling brands. Secondly, to book the call, you'll need to complete a short application so that we can do our homework before the call and not waste your time by asking these questions. And it's important you do this correctly and thoroughly. We get a lot of these applications, and if it doesn't look legit, we'll cancel the call and let you know. And thirdly, please show up for the call. Time is the most precious commodity any of us have. Don't waste ours, and we won't waste yours. And out of respect for that, we will only offer this call once. So please come at the right day and time, and we will do our absolute best to provide you with the most value we possibly can during that call. But to be clear, our program really does help brands see the success they deserve. But you don't have to take my word for it, right? Just listen to the litany of success stories from everybody else who's been exactly where you are right now and has gotten to where you want to go. Now, at this point, I want to address a few reasons why you might be hesitant. The first one, I'm too busy. And to that I say, we all have the same 24 hours a day. The volume of your work is not what matters. It's the value of the work that you do. Remember, the hunter works just as hard as the farmer, but the farmer can feed thousands. Hunters lived in caves for over 100,000 years, and farmers built empires. The choice is really up to you. If you spend your time chasing profit margin at all costs instead of building sustainable systems, if you invest nights and weekends trying to debug pet projects built around little nuggets that you've seen all over the internet to try to build a system that works, odds are 1,000,000 to 1 that you will burn out and fade away and never achieve the success that you deserve. The second reason you might be hesitant is something that sounds like, but the economy. If you're waiting for the right time when things will be easier, let me help you. They won't. You know the costs go up every single year, right? Growing a business isn't just some fun hockey stick of profit. Every day, new challenges emerge. Business is chaos, and chaos is a ladder. They say the best time to start was yesterday. Do you want to wait until tomorrow, next week, next year to stop renting knowledge when you could own expertise? And the third reason to be hesitant is doubt in yourself. I believe that our mindset controls our destiny, and we are the biggest thing holding us back from achieving our dreams. If you truly believe that you can't do something, you'll never be able to. But if you know you can succeed, if you have the determination and motivation, if you don't give up, it's wild to see how the world unfolds in front of you in small ways that will change your life. And so if no one today has told you that you can do it, that you will do it, I will. You wouldn't be here right now if you didn't have it. The world needs you. You are the fuel for this whole thing. You just need to make a commitment to yourself and master the missing piece. In my own life, if you know anything about my story, I had to make that commitment. The hundreds of brands and marketers who came before you that were sitting exactly where you are right now and are now exactly where you want to be, they had to make that commitment. And you can too if you want to achieve the success that you deserve badly enough. I believe that we are the sum of our own choices. And I'm not saying that things don't happen to us that are outside of our control, but one-on-one, we get to make our own experience, and we are being held accountable for our choices that we make, and our life is the sum of those choices. As someone with free will, every day you are presented with choices. The choices you make are ultimately votes to become the person you want to be, or a vote against that future. So, whichever decision you make here, whichever direction you choose to go, however you choose to take your business, I'd like you to ask yourself a question. Is this a vote to move in the direction of the person that you wish to become and the success that you know you deserve? Or is this a vote for more of the same? Either way, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with me here today. And as a reminder, enrollment is now open. Spots are limited, so don't hang about. And no matter what happens today, I hope that the time that you spent here was valuable. And I want to thank you once again for your time and attention. See ya.